I broke my teeth.
And he's got back issues. He's gonna have, may have to have foot surgery. Go see the doctor next week.
They make bags for
I
that.
hung my toe on a box yesterday, and I think I broke it. My pinky toe.
So it's kind of like,
Waylon.
My dad said, "You and your feet." I said,
You know,
"I
Jim
I
is,
don't understand."
I think Jim's 89 years old.
Is he 89 now?
I don't think he was that old.
He's up there
He's
in
in the
years.
80s.
I was gonna say I thought he was like 82, but
Maybe he is. Maybe I got that wrong. I'll have to ask him sometime. I mean, he gets around really well for his.
well, him and his wife both were getting around. That's a
And now is she in St. Louis?
St. Louis.
Louis.
She just must.
I gotta get the
Bad heart.
It's very bad pathetic cancer.
I'm not.
She said she told me when she had issues like 20 years ago, but I can't remember what they were. And then did fine, and now
It's so odd to me, and I guess it can happen to anybody. But I mean, she's such a small, petite lady.
she was kayaking and exercising.
Like you wouldn't think that I don't know. I guess you can have heart problems of all shapes and sizes, but she doesn't fit the mold at all.
I get nauseous. I gotta go.
I don't, you know.
Stay out of there.
You need to turn on the microphone.
It is
Just got
on.
the
We
hazelnut
are ready. Roger is here. Bobby was in the pledge, and Roger.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Our Heavenly Father, thank you for gathering us together. Please watch over the city, guide, direct us, and be with us as we do the city's business. Your name we pray.
Hey, Brian, will you call the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Jim Bodenhammer.
Here.
Paige Evans.
Here.
Jennifer Baker.
Here.
Wayne Allman.
Here.
Bob Van Haren.
Here.
Don Webb.
Here.
Okay, you have in front of you the minutes from the February 20th meeting.
Make a motion, we adopt the minutes.
Second.
Okay, Brian, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes.
Bob Van Haren.
Yes.
Jennifer Baker.
Yes.
Wayne Allman.
Abstain.
Don Webb.
Yes.
Jim Bodenhammer.
Yes.
Paige Evans.
Yes.
Okay, I don't have any announcements, but we'll go straight to new business. Roger, would you like to start this and explain?
And some of the council, Jennifer at least, and maybe Coach, usually when we have bond ordinances, we read them by title only because they get kind of lengthy. And that's what we've traditionally done. And I've talked with bond counsel. That's how I think a lot of cities do it. So if there is a 2/3 vote, which would be everybody, I guess, to go ahead and let me read it just by title only, we'll proceed that way, or I can read it in full, either one.
Some of them are longer than others. Some of them are
It's
long.
the will of the, yeah, it's whatever the council wants me to do on it.
I'm good with that.
Is that a motion?
I'll make a motion that we shorten it to the heading.
Somebody shaking his head a second.
Okay, Brian, we have a motion and a second to read them by title only.
Bob Van Haren.
Yes.
Jim Bodenhammer.
Yes.
Don Webb.
Yes.
Jennifer Baker.
Yes.
Wayne Allman.
Yes.
Paige Evans.
Yes.
I'm assuming we can show that as collectively being all the bond ordinances tonight, because we've got 3 separate. I'll go ahead and put the first one on reading. I'm gonna assume that our clerk put these in order if there needs to be any particular order, but if not. It's ordinance providing for the levy of a 1/4 of 1 cent sales and use tax within the city of Mountain Home, Arkansas, and prescribing other matters pertaining thereto.
Okay. Ron, is there anything you need to say about this at this point in time before we go any further or not?
If it's okay, Mayor, I'll hand this information out to council, just kind of explain the 3 ordinances that you're considering tonight. I think this might give you a good idea of the two ballot questions that will be presented to the voters, assuming that you adopt these ordinances tonight, and I think this will provide some color to the three ordinances as well. So these two ballot questions.
Can you do us a favor?
Yes, sir.
And for the people in the audience, who you are and who you represent?
Yes,
So-
sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. My name is Ryan Bowman. I'm with Friday Elgin and Clark Law Firm in Little Rock, and we are proposing to serve as bond counsel to the city in connection with this proposed bond issue. I drafted the three ordinances that you see before you, and as I just handed out, the two ballot questions that are contained in two of the three ordinances. It's ordinance number 11 and ordinance number 12 contain these two ballot questions. Ordinance number 10, which Mr. Morgan just put on his first reading, levies a quarter-cent sales and use tax on a permanent basis. Ordinance number 11 calls the election on the levy of that quarter-cent tax for May the 12th. The proposed election date is May the 12th here in the city. And then the third ordinance, -12, calls an election on May 12th on the issuance of the bonds and the levy of a half-cent tax used solely to pay debt service on the bond issue. So the two questions that you see before you, the first question is a quarter-cent sales and use tax that would be permanent. The collections of this tax could be used to secure the repayment of the bonds. To the extent it's not needed to pay debt service on the bond issue, those collections come back to the city on a monthly basis, and you use those tax collections to operate and maintain either new or existing park and recreational facilities here in the city. So the use of that tax is limited to park and recreational purposes. Again, this quarter-cent tax is a permanent tax and is a separate question from the second question that you see on this handout. The second question is the issuance of bonds in a maximum principal amount of $38,600,000 to finance the various park improvements that have been discussed before your council and around the city over the past couple of weeks. In addition, you're calling the election on the levy of a half-cent temporary sales and use tax that is only used to pay debt service on the bond issue. So when the bonds are retired, this half-cent sales tax goes off the books. Now keep in mind, these two questions are independent of each other. And if you look at the last sentence of the first question, it says the levy of the tax, that's the quarter-cent tax, is not dependent on any bonds being approved or issued. So for you to accomplish what you want as a city council, you want a yes vote on both questions. You need the quarter-cent to operate and maintain park and rec facilities, and you want the half-cent to pay the debt service on the bond issue. But these are independent questions, and so a voter could vote for one and against the other, or vice versa. So what happens if that's the case? If the voters approve the top question, the quarter-cent permanent, but vote no on the bonds, then obviously you can't finance your facilities because you've not been given the sales tax to pay the debt service on the bond issue. But you would levy that quarter-cent tax that could be used for you to operate and maintain your existing park and rec facilities, or you would have to do some things on a pay-as-you-go basis. On the flip side of that, if the voters say no to the quarter-cent for operation and maintenance and yes to the half-cent for debt service, then you could move forward with the bond issue to finance your facilities with the understanding that you would not have the money to operate and maintain your facilities. We're actually bond counsel on a county project that had this very scenario happen just a couple of days ago on Super Tuesday, where the voters said no to the O&M and yes to the debt service. And again, you as a council will have a decision to make, because if the half-cent is approved, but not the O&M piece, not the quarter-cent, then our state statute allows with a 2/3 vote of the council, you don't have to move forward with the bond issue. You don't have to levy the half-cent sales and use tax. So that authority is given to you as a council. If that scenario were to occur, you could decide to not move forward with the bond issue. But you certainly could. And let's say you couldn't get 2/3 to agree, you could move forward with the bond issue with the understanding that you would not have the money, the quarter-cent, to operate and maintain your park facility. So I know I've thrown a lot at you, but I wanted to make sure it was very clear in what you're approving tonight, and what the voters will see on May the 12th, that these are separate questions. And when you go out and promote this, you educate your voters, you want to make sure they understand a yes vote is important for you to accomplish the purposes that you want to accomplish for the city.
So the
That
question,
happened to the county close to us.
It did.
Yeah.
Did. And I've worked on several where these are a lot of times this happens in jail projects. I worked on one 15 years or so ago where this happened, and the county went ahead and built the facility because they thought the voters had given them the authority to do the facility, and so they did it. It took them 2 more tries to get the operation and maintenance piece passed, and ultimately they had a new jail that was sitting there
It wouldn't
ready
be
to
no-
be used, and they couldn't use it because they didn't have money to operate and maintain it. And the voters said, okay, uncle, we'll give you the money to operate and maintain it. But again, you have that flexibility to move forward if one of the questions passes and one of the others does not. But keep in mind, if that $0.25 passes for O&M, you're getting that tax. The only way to terminate that is to go back to the voters to abolish that tax.
so on that quarter-cent one, what I was somewhat confused about when I read this, is it says, be used for one or more of the following: A, to pay and secure the repayment of bonds approved by the voters and issued by the city to finance park and recreational facilities, and B, to acquire, construct, improve, expand, equip, furnish, operate, and maintain or existing parks and recreational facilities. So, but what we plan on doing it is using this for operation and maintenance, but this gives us the option, if we had wanted to, we could use it to pay on the bonds.
Yes, ma'am. And to answer your question further, if you look at the last sentence of the bottom question, it says, in order to provide additional funds to pay or to further secure repayment of the bonds, the city may also pledge to the bonds the net collections of an additional citywide quarter-cent sales and use tax. So and Mr. Paul Phillips from Christian Associates is here, but how the bonds will be structured is, assuming both questions pass, then the debt service in a given year on the bond issue will be in an amount close to what collections of the half cent will be. So let's say hypothetically you got $100 from that sales tax, the debt service would be very close to $100. But the collections of that quarter-cent are pledged to the bond issue, like extra collateral for a loan. Okay, and so to the extent your sales tax collections went down with respect to that half-cent tax, then the collections of that quarter-cent could be used to repay the bond issue. But we don't anticipate that being the case unless your sales tax collections went down for some reason in the future. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I just wondered how,
So
if the quarter-cent, if you wanted to use part of that quarter-cent to pay off the bonds, how do you do that?
Well, it's set up in the bond document so that to the extent that the trustee, the bond trustee, will receive collections of both taxes. Okay, it's sent from the state treasurer to the bank that's serving as bond trustee. And to the extent they didn't have enough collections of the half cent, then they're authorized in the bond documents to keep collections of that quarter-cent tax to make up the shortfall.
Okay.
And then they send the remainder back to the city on a monthly basis.
Okay, so they do it. We don't have to vote on that.
Any more questions for Ron?
Says the bond tax will expire after the bonds have been paid or provisions is made thereunto in accordance with Arkansas statute. So I'm sure it depends on the interest rates and everything when, but it's automatic. They would, it's soon.
That's right, it's automatic, and we would work with your bond trustee, and your bond trustee would be working with the city to figure out when the tax could be terminated, when the bonds are ready to be retired. And what's required is that the mayor sign a certificate for termination of tax along with the trustee, and we would file that with the Department of Finance and Administration, and then that tax would go off the books. But it's set up to automatically terminate. It can't be used for anything other than to pay debt service on the bond issue. So it's not like every month those collections would come into the city and you can use it for general fund operations. The trustee is keeping all of the collections of that tax. And so as your sales tax collections grow, they're using that to prepay bonds prior to maturity.
So do we have any kind of estimate about how long this might take to pay these bonds off?
And that's not a legal question. I will defer to Mr. Phillips.
I'm Paul Phillips. I'm Senior Managing Director at the investment banking firm Cruz and Associates, and been here before. I've had the pleasure of working with this city on water and sewer revenue bond issues for over a a decade now. Worked with the hospital and worked with Arkansas State Mountain Home, so really enjoy this area and working with all the people here. So in putting this together, we examined the tax receipts from your existing sales and use taxes, and what we determined was that based on the past 12 months of collections, assuming no growth or decline, that, and again, we're applying 100% of the receipts from this half cent, without any growth or decline, that repayment would occur in 19 years.
19 years.
19 years,
So if we have increased revenue and whatever, we can pay it off sooner.
absolutely.
Is that, if we do have the increased tax revenue, y'all just keep that portion, just apply it to it, or is that something we have to do, is to authorize that to
No,
be?
those monies will be sent to the trustee, and then the trustee will be required from that half cent, whatever penny they get, the trustee will be required to not only pay the debt service, but to prepay the debt service. So obviously, as we prepay, our interest cost comes down, we're able to prepay more for the same amount of dollars.
Okay.
The only collections that the city will receive from either of these taxes are after the payment of debt service, and then you will use those for park and recreation purposes.
Okay.
This calls for an election on May the 12th.
May the 12th, yes, sir.
So that's the second Tuesday in May.
Correct.
Any other questions for either one of these two guys? At this time, if not, I'll see if anyone out here has something that they'd like to address or questions from anyone.
Make a motion, we go to second reading.
I'll
I
second.
think actually we need to read it the first time, Bob, I think that first one was just to waive the reading in full. So I think I need to read it by title, and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
It's an ordinance calling us, hang on a second. It's an ordinance providing for the levy of a 1/4 of 1% sales and use tax within the city of Mountain Home, Arkansas, and prescribing other matters pertaining thereto.
Make a motion, we suspend rules.
Put it on, is it second read?
Second reading.
Yeah.
I'll
That's a
second.
little confusing tonight.
Yeah, I'll second it.
Bob Van Haren,
Yes.
Jim Bodenhammer,
Yes.
Don Webb,
Yes.
Jennifer Baker,
Yes.
Wayne Allman,
Yes.
Paige Evans.
Yes.
It's an ordinance providing for the levy of a 1/4 of 1% sales and use tax within the city of Mountain Home and prescribing other matters pertaining thereto.
Motion to suspend the rules, put on third reading.
Second.
Okay, Brown?
Jennifer Baker,
Yes.
Don Webb,
Yes.
Wayne Allman,
Yes.
Jim Bodenhammer,
Yes.
Paige Evans,
Yes.
Bob Van Haren.
Yes.
This ordinance providing for the levy of a 1/4 of 1% sales and use tax within the city of Mountain Home and prescribing other matters pertaining thereto.
Move for adoption.
Second.
Okay, Brown, we have a motion and a second.
Don Webb,
Yes.
Wayne Allman,
Yes.
Paige Evans,
Yes.
Jennifer Baker,
Yes.
Bob Van Haren,
Yes.
Jim Bodenhammer.
Yes.
Move on to the
Yes.
next.
Go ahead to the
Ordinance
second.
calling a special election in the city of Mountain Home, Arkansas on the question of levying a citywide 1/4 of 1% sales and use tax and prescribing other matters pertaining thereto.
So is the difference between the first one and this one that this is setting the actual?
This is just setting the election.
Right. The first ordinance levies a 1/4 cent tax. This just sets the election for May 12th on the levy.
I'll make a motion to suspend the rules, put on second reading.
Second.
Okay, Brown?
Bob Van Haren,
Yes.
Jim Bodenhammer,
Yes.
Don Webb,
Yes.
Jennifer Baker,
Yes.
Wayne Allman,
Yes.
Paige Evans.
Yes.
This ordinance calling a special election in the city of Mountain Home, Arkansas on the question of levying a citywide 1/4 of 1% sales and use tax and prescribing other matters pertaining thereto.
Motion put on third reading.
Second.
Brown?
Jennifer Baker,
Yes.
Don Webb,
Yes.
Wayne Allman,
Yes.
Jim Bodenhammer,
Yes.
Paige Evans,
Yes.
Bob Van Haren.
Yes.
It's an ordinance calling special election in the city of Mountain Home, Arkansas on the question of levying a citywide 1/4 of 1% sales and use tax and prescribing other matters thereto.
Move for adoption.
Second.
Jim Bodenhammer,
Yes.
Bob Van Haren,
Yes.
Jennifer Baker,
Yes.
Paige Evans,
Yes.
Wayne Allman,
Yes.
Don Webb.
Yes.
Move on to the third
Yes,
ordinance.
sir.
It's an ordinance calling a special election in the city of Mountain Home, Arkansas on the question of issuing bonds under amendment number 62 to the Constitution of the state of Arkansas for the purpose of financing all or a portion of the cost of park and recreational facilities and improvements, levying a new 1/2 of 1% sales and use tax for the purpose of retiring such bonds and prescribing other matters pertaining thereto.
So this one has the special election with the bond.
It has the levy and calling the election in the same ordinance. The statute, for whatever reason, allows it to be in one ordinance, whereas a different statute requires it to be in two separate.
I wondered about
Taxes levied under different statutes.
Yeah, I wondered about that. I'll make a motion to suspend the rules and put on second reading.
Second.
Brian?
Paige Evans,
Yes.
Wayne Allman,
Yes.
Jennifer Baker,
Yes.
Don Webb,
Yes.
Jim Bodenhammer,
Yes.
Bob Van Haren.
Yes.
It's an ordinance calling special election in the city of Mountain Home on the question of issuing bonds under Amendment 62 to the Constitution of the state of Arkansas for the purpose of financing all or a portion of the cost of parks and recreational facilities improvements, levying a new 1/2 of 1% sales and use tax for the purpose of retiring bonds and prescribing other matters pertaining thereto.
Motion put on third reading.
Second.
Brian?
Jennifer Baker,
Yes.
Wayne Allman,
Yes.
Jim Bodenhammer,
Yes.
Paige Evans,
Yes.
Bob Van Haren,
Yes.
Don Webb.
Yes.
So ordinance calling special election in the city of Mountain Home, Arkansas on the question of issuing bonds under Amendment number 62 to the Constitution of the state of Arkansas for the purpose of financing all or a portion of the cost of park and recreational facilities and improvements, levying a new 1/2 of 1% sales and use tax for the purpose of retiring the bonds and prescribing other matters pertaining thereto.
Move for adoption.
Second.
Brian?
Jim Bodenhammer,
Yes.
Bob Van Haren,
Yes.
Jennifer Baker,
Yes.
Paige Evans,
Yes.
Wayne Allman,
Yes.
Don Webb.
Yes.
Okay, that takes care of all the business on the agenda. Ryan, tells me, Brian, we have to get this filed with the clerk tomorrow at the court to get the election called on May the 12th.
I need to make sure y'all sign them before you
Yeah.
leave.
We can do that tonight.
Yeah, we'll get that done.
Mayor, for what it's worth, to me, I've sat through 2 public hearings and talked to a lot of people. To me, this project, the proposal is more than just a swimming pool and a place for kids to go swim.
Oh, absolutely.
This, if you listen to the mayor of Batesville, what it has done for his community and economic growth and putting the community, getting the community together, all age groups, it was a good proposal to me. And we need to, hopefully people in Mountain Home will take a hard look at what this can do to get Mountain Home off kind of a plateau in economic growth. We're kind of there. That's the reason I got on the council, was trying to get, I'm a native and I'm trying to get Mountain Home. It was booming in the 60s and 70s and early 80s. We kind of hit a level plateau.
Is there going to be any kind of a brochure or something that people can pick up and we
Yes,
can pass out?
there's some work being done already to create some information sheets, brochures, literature about it. There's probably a group of 12 to 15 people that are already doing some, organizing some ideas, some design work
Good.
to come up with a message that we can take to the community. That message needs to be the same by every single person that goes out there. And I've got, some folks I got to get a hold of tonight, because I had some requests to visit with people as early as 7:30 in the morning, and about 3 requests to come talk to groups of people next week about it, and they're all on hold, until I know if this got done tonight. There's some folks in the room that are going to be prepared to visit with everybody we can visit with, and if there's something in this thing for everybody.
Absolutely.
Exactly. I think it's a golden opportunity for us to try to take Mountain Home to another level, and I appreciate y'all's support.
One more comment, and then I'll shut up. But I appreciate, we could just let things go and just stay where we're at. But I appreciate the mayor for months has been working on this project, and I appreciate you doing it. You could have just kind of let things go along and not have to worry about any controversy. But I do appreciate all you've done. Oh, it's just not an overnight deal that this has happened. But thank you, Mayor.
I appreciate that very much. There's a lot of work ahead, and there's about 30 hours a day between now and May 12th and on my clock, and we'll spend all 30 to try to bring this thing to
Bring that mayor of Batesville back up.
He was good. He was really
we want him
good.
to be up here for
I hate this guy. He makes really good something.
He was pretty.
And if we're gonna grow Mountain Home, though, if we're gonna grow Mountain Home, the one thing everybody here, and of course, you know, we're live on the internet now as well.
Yeah.
The one thing that everybody needs to take home with them when they're sharing with people is it's gonna take 2 yeses.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, one's not going to be enough, so it's going to take 2 yeses to make this happen. And so everybody's got to make sure that that's the word that goes
Oh, yes.
beyond
on both.
all. You've got to have 2 yeses to make this happen, and so I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that word gets out for sure.
And I think we need to point out on the half-cent temporary one for the bonds that the tourists coming to the Mountain Home area are also going to pay that and going to help, you know, pay off the bonds. They may not ever use the facilities other than maybe conventions and meeting rooms and that type of thing. But that, you know, it's not going to be all just the burden of the, you know, the citizens. It's going to be the, you know, you go to Branson, you pay a great big tax. You know, not as much as this. I mean, Branson's is more than ours. But I think we need to remember that, you know, let's just share. It'll be, you know, and Gassville already has a 2-cent city sales tax, so you're not going to save money going there. But anyway, so, you know, we need to remember that other people will be helping us pay this.
The 2 yeses are going to be very important. I think I know which county Ryan was talking about, because in my former job, I watched a county build a jail, and it sat there, and it had cobwebs in it, and I'd go visit the sheriff. Well, I sure would like to open this thing, but I don't have the money to do it with. And that county wasn't too far from here. And 2 counties south of here this past week, on Super Tuesday, they voted to build a new jail. They're going to get it built, and they may be faced with the same thing because they're not going to have the money to operate and fund that jail. So I appreciate y'all's help tonight, and that's the only thing that I had. I do want, and the Parks Committee knows this already, April the 11th, that'll be a Saturday, we're going to have an opening day ceremony at Callista Willette Park. We should be finished with all the work out there that's been funded by the grant we got from State Parks and Tourism. And we've issued invitations for all that board to come here. We want to tell them thanks out there. We'll have every single kid that's registered in the program out there. Make it a fun afternoon. I know Kelly's already got a lot of activities planned for that day, and we spoke to the fire department today about being out there, and we want to do that and kick off the baseball season in a big way out
Starts
there.
at 11, you said?
April 11th, 11 o'clock.
11 at
and,
11.
We've got a local bank that's agreed to cook all the hot dogs. It can be 8 out there that day, so come out and enjoy the day with them out there and get it all started.
Motion to adjourn.
Sounds good to me. Hey, the Lady Bombers play at 7 o'clock. 7:30?
7.